Stay tuned for a meeting of the City of Calabasas Commission. The meeting will be broadcast using Zoom and the city's CTV Channel 3. Commission members may teleconference into the meeting without noticing or posting an agenda at their teleconference location. Besides the live TV and Zoom broadcast, the live stream of the meeting may be viewed online at cityofcalabasas.com/CTV Live. If you want to provide public comment, press Raise Hand if you're using Zoom or *9 if you're joining by phone. Just unmute yourself by pressing *6. Say your name and the city you live in. You'll be allowed 3 minutes to address the Commission regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. If the power or internet goes out lasting more than 15 minutes, or if there's some event that prevents the Commission from meeting or prevents you from providing public comment, then the meeting will be adjourned. Any items noticed as public hearings will be rescheduled to the next regular Commission meeting. Any other agenda items the Commission has not taken action on will be placed on a future agenda. Now, a meeting of the City of Calabasas Commission.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Communications and Technology Commission meeting for Tuesday, June 21st, 2022, and it is 6:05, and we will get underway. The opening matters is to call the order and the roll call, and the staff member do that. We need a roll call. I'm not hearing.
I think we're all here, Michael.
Okay. I'm just seeing a wide shot, so it may be me.
Go ahead and set your view to gallery view.
There we go. I just did.
Okay.
Okay, so Jacqueline, do you need to call the roll call?
That would be Yadira, I believe.
Oh, is it Yadira? Sorry. Yadira.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's my fault. I've got my act together. I'm getting rusty. Go ahead.
Well, I appreciate your patience. It's my first time calling roll call.
Okay.
Michael, do you think you can help me with this?
Sure, I'll do it. Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
Fine. Okay, Richard
Here.
is here. Carrie,
Here.
present. Okay. David,
Here.
present. Okay. I'm here. And Bella.
Here.
Okay. And we have Yadira from the staff is present and Michael Russo. Okay.
What about me?
Oh, Candace. I was just
Here.
checking on you.
And did you mention Arvin? I wasn't sure if I heard that.
Well, actually, he's not on the camera side. That's why I didn't. Arvin, of course, is here, keeping us all on the straight and narrow with regard to the technology, okay, and everything else. All right, now, next up on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Candace, if you would be so happy to do that.
Everybody please stand and put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the
of the United States of America,
to the republic
Republic
for
for which it stands,
nation,
One nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
Justice.
justice for all.
justice for all.
Just roll. Okay. Onward we go. You need approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Well, the move by Richard. Okay.
Second.
Second by Carrie. All those in favor, please acknowledge.
I
Aye.
Okay, it's all ayes. Onward we go. And then we have the approval of the minutes of the April 18th, 2022 meeting. You need a moment or two. It's okay to review the minutes, so I'm hopeful that you have done that. And after another minute, I look forward to somebody make a motion.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
Richard,
second.
second from Candace. Okay. All those in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Correction?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And announcements and introductions. Do we have any? And then we can take them in order. Anyone have anything specifically they would like to bring to the table at this moment? Okay. Hearing none, we will proceed. Oral communications, any public comment? Do we, Yadira, do we have anything? Anyone who wants to make comment on it?
Just
Or-
one second. No, I don't see anyone raising their hand.
Okay. Onward. And now the monthly reports. Excuse me. The wireless facility minor modification permits. Okay, we have.
And Michael Klein and Jackie.
Michael and Jackie are here. If so, they're welcome. I just don't see them. Why did I lose the gallery again?
They're there, Michael, just trust me.
I trust you.
We are here. Good evening, Chair Brockman and CTC commissioners. I just wanted to join the meeting tonight to introduce Jacqueline Rackerby, who is our associate planner. And for those that are on the wireless subcommittee, you'll remember working with both myself and Jacqueline on the updated wireless ordinance, as well as Jacqueline, who created the design guidelines that go in tandem with the wireless ordinance. So now that I've assumed the position as community development director, I have handed the baton off to Jacqueline to handle all of the wireless projects that come through the city. So she's interacting and interfacing with the applicants and the wireless industry on a regular basis. And again, I just wanted to introduce her to the commission. The report that's on the agenda tonight is it's a monthly report to give the commission an update of those permits that have been issued by the city for those projects, such as a small wireless facility, a tier 1 permit, and a minor modification permit. Some of those go to a public hearing. Some of them are approved administratively, but unlike the tier 2 wireless facility permits, they don't go to the CTC. If we do get a tier 2 permit, that will come to the CTC for your review and approval or decision. And so historically, what we've done is provided the CTC with a update of all those permits that have been issued. And so that's what is on the agenda tonight. Jacqueline is with us tonight. So if you have any specific questions about the report, she is available to answer. But again, I'm really excited to hand the baton off to Jacqueline, and she's been excellent so far in helping us process a lot of applications. So thank you.
Michael, I would just offer this as a way of praise. I'm both you and she. If she did this packet, it's perfect.
Yes.
She can only go downhill from here.
Thank you.
Yes,
Hope
you,
I don't.
Very good job. Very thorough.
Jacqueline, do you have any background in wireless?
Not specifically, just everything that Michael has taught me. So
Oh.
I would hope he's taught me everything he knows.
Well, you're obviously you're an excellent learner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Michael, on your new position.
Indeed.
Michael, Brock, may I ask,
What is up?
Michael, a
Yes.
question? And my question is, is with the changes going on, and we've talked about this before, are you seeing more of the major carriers
Sorry, guys.
looking into investing in more coverage in Calabasas? I know it's a long process, but especially with Verizon and some areas, AT&T as well.
To answer your question, yes, we've actually been holding meetings with representatives from Verizon and AT&T. We reached out to all of the carriers, but those are the ones that have responded back to us. And we've been holding meetings with them to discuss moving forward how they can use the city's recently adopted ordinance, or more newly adopted ordinance, to provide better coverage to the community. So I know AT&T, for example, gave us a list of what, Jacqueline, 8 or 10 facilities existing facilities that they're upgrading, which should help with coverage, but then also they've identified at least 3 other locations within the city that they're trying to get funding for to move forward with a project. They've been actively talking to us about that. Verizon, off the top of my head, they've been looking at 1 or 2 locations for a new site as well.
Michael and Jacqueline, following up to Richard's question, when they do these minor, and I've read through these modifications, is the equipment they're putting in that much more powerful that we would get better coverage automatically?
It depends. In the case of actually one of the sites, Jacqueline, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but on 23945 Calabasas Road, which was actually approved a while ago as a minor modification, I believe they are adding a new sector. So in some of these applications, they're actually adding additional sectors to their sites,
Right.
which that will increase coverage around that site.
Yes, I'm not sure if the adding sector was the one that was approved already or the one that's in process. Definitely the one that's in process for that address. They are adding a sector.
Right. And
Yeah,
are they doing anything? This is all 4G at this point?
No, they're upgrading to new technology. So some of it could be 5G. That the questions come up before, but that's not part of our application process.
Right.
We can inquire, but they are only obligated to submit what's in our
There's
application.
no obligation on their part to do that.
Yeah, as far as we understand from what they have told us, because as Michael mentioned, we can't factor that into our decision, but as far as we understand from them, basically the upgrades for the most part are to make the sites 5G ready, right? Wouldn't you say, Michael? Technology doesn't necessarily go into effect as soon as they build it, but it's basically putting the infrastructure in place so that it can be upgraded.
Yeah, I think for most of Calabasas residents, I think what they would like to hear is that whatever they're doing in these modifications will increase coverage.
Right, and it is definitely a slow process. So with the ordinance gone into effect last year, we've definitely gotten questions from the carriers for the past year or so, but since they knew that our ordinance went into effect last year, we're really not going to see the bulk of those modifications or the bulk of those new facilities in accordance with that ordinance for, I would say, another year. They said they have about a 2-year cycle for.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Billing.
Remind everybody, in case anyone's in the audience doesn't know, that the companies have said that their funding methodology has kind of a couple of year span to their current budgets.
Yeah.
And so they have to wait until the new ones are constructed before they can start to incorporate some of these new installments wherever they may need them.
Yeah, which is true. And the good news is that both AT&T and Verizon, when we've spoken with them, they have adjusted their funding around. So even though they're still mid-cycle, they're putting funding into a couple of new sites within the city. But every site is very complicated. There are always a lot of moving parts, such as their specific needs, the engineer's needs, and then of course you have a landowner can also dictate, what happens on their property. So they've got to navigate a bunch of different channels, and it can be quite complicated. They're dealing with one site at a shopping center, another site on water district property. So we can assist them, but they still also have to get approval from that landlord as well.
Yep.
And that being said, in the meantime, until we start seeing new facilities, the good news is that with the Tier 1 process, we are able to process these modifications that they might have, started planning for 2 or 3 years ago. We are able to process some of those modifications as a Tier 1 permit if it meets the Tier 1 standards. And that means that that modification that would have otherwise taken a little bit longer is able to go through as a staff level approval rather than having to host a public hearing for those. So we are able to process them a bit faster for the modifications that they had already planned.
Yeah, the problem with modifications is it doesn't extend coverage. Basically, it'll make coverage better for those areas that already have it. You usually get more capacity and you can get higher speeds, but you're not adding any additional footprint to your coverage area. So hopefully the additional sites coming in, you're saying maybe 3 and 2 or 3 and 1 from the other carriers. I think that's really what you got to do to improve service around the city.
David?
Yeah, absolutely. But adding the sectors though will expand some of the footprint around those sites. So they've got some facilities that are along the 101 freeway, and historically they just add sectors to cover the 101 freeway. And now they're looking at adding sectors to cover, south of the freeway, which would be the city.
Yeah, because even increasing the capacity is a qualitative improvement for those residents that are within the sphere of that particular site's region.
Yeah.
So
And it'll help
No,
as
ideal.
people travel through the city. It'll help prevent their calls from being dropped, which is a complaint that we have heard.
Mhm.
And Chair Brockman, if I may, if any members of the public hear anything about the city dragging its feet and taking too long to approve these things and all that, it's nonsense, in that the ordinance has done exactly what it is we wanted it to do. Made things much easier, especially with the tier 1, made things a lot easier for carriers to come in and make improvements. The regulatory process is much, much faster than it used to be. So if anybody hears that coming out of providers, it's simply not true.
I mean, it's just so important that the city encourages the AT&T and Verizon to move forward as quickly as they can. I'm encouraged, Michael, Michael Klein, when you said that they're trying to juggle some money so they can, especially Verizon, because I have Verizon, and a long time ago we, paid for a booster in the house. But literally, I walk a few feet from my house, and I stop having coverage. I drive around my neighborhood, and I don't have coverage. And and even those who have switched to AT&T also have empty spots in the city. So I appreciate all that Michael Russo and you and Michael Klein and Jacqueline are doing. It's so important for safety issues.
Yeah. Yeah, we have dead spots on our street too. So
we continue to work. I will actually point out one thing, because it is a complaint that we've heard from the carriers, is that they are struggling to get cooperation from HOAs. So keep that in mind, because like I mentioned, there are water tanks that they're looking at. Well, in order to get to those water tanks, most of those water tanks are behind gated communities, and they've got to go through the HOA to get an easement or access rights, and they're hitting a block wall with some of those HOAs. So if you have friends on HOA boards that you can reach out to and let them know that if they're approached by a wireless carrier, rather than just saying no, maybe they should contact the city, and we can start that dialogue to explain why it's important to allow the carrier to be able to enter through the community and get to those locations.
Maybe Michael Klein, offline, you or Michael Russo can share what HOAs are maybe being a little more difficult, and maybe we could communicate with them. That's our job as commissioner.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to get to the bottom of too, and I'm waiting for the carriers to provide me with some feedback, is the block wall coming from the management company or from the HOA board? Because sometimes you have to get through the management company, and then they have to transfer that request to the board. And if the management company's not doing that, then that could be a problem too. So,
and I know, I was just going to say that I know that was an issue a number of years ago, and I wonder if it's still as prevalent today.
Michael,
so I just raised that as, those are it's one more example of why these tend to be complicated, because they're trying to deal with various parties to get a site.
let me just follow the line of communication on this, okay? The first sign of difficulty, it will be feedback you will get from one of the carriers if you get it. Is that correct? If there's some
yes and no. I mean, if we've certainly opened the door for that feedback, but at the same time, they have to also inform us that they're having a problem. So
that's what I'm getting. There's a series of spots here along where somebody drops the ball and the whole thing just stops.
Right.
Just trying to think if there's another way to not circumvent, but to provide a little better communication to the party where the non-answer has come from.
I think, I mean, what we, Jacqueline and Mike Russo and I have told the carriers is if they hit a hurdle, feel free to contact staff so that we can maybe reach out to the HOA or to the property
Exactly.
owner
That's sort of where I was reaching for.
and close the loop. But they still have to, they still have to reach out to us, and they've said that they've hit problems, but they haven't reached out and told us exactly where those problems lie yet. So, but we've opened the door and we've invited them to and encouraged them to contact us.
Well, let me try this and reverse this a little bit to see, is there a way you have made contact with the carriers to find out if they've run into anything? And it should not depend upon them coming to you, but do some outreach to them to see if they run into some trouble.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have done that and we've met with them multiple times. But they still need to be a little bit more clear with us as to where they're running into that trouble so that we can help direct them.
All right.
We've also tried to do the reverse because they have their site acquisition teams going out and looking at the best sites for these facilities. We've also received some comments from property owners, property managers that had poor service at a specific location, and we've been able to kind of take that contact info and provide it over to the carriers as, here's a willing property owner if there's any interest in this particular site. So we can pass that information along if they want to do it in the reverse and have us, offer up these sites to them rather than the other way around, them having to seek out specific locations.
They're trying to act a little more proactively than passively. So
yeah,
That would have been a good topic for the recent city HOA leadership meeting.
we did have an HOA meeting earlier this year, and I provided whatever information that those HOA members asked for. But at this point, again, they know how to reach us, and if we need to do another one, we will. But I'd rather see where the carriers are actually running into those problems and then just reach out directly to those HOAs. Also, I do want to mention that one of the strategic priorities that the city council is going to adopt, or of the list of strategic priorities, includes improving wireless coverage throughout the city. And part of that is for staff to identify tasks that are associated with the strategic priority. One of those that we've identified to accomplish is an RFP, and that RFP would look at city-owned facilities like the Civic Center, the Tennis and Swim Center, Deanza Park, Creekside, city-owned property that could be eligible for a wireless facility. We mentioned that to AT&T and Verizon, and both of them were very excited to consider a location on city-owned property, because that then creates a willing landlord, and that's half their battle. So we're going to work on the RFP. It'll likely bring that RFP through this commission so that everyone is on board and it's transparent, and we've selected the right kind of sites throughout the city.
Very good. Okay, any other comments before we close this one up? Anything else? Okay.
Does Jacqueline have anything more to say about her report for the current, all of this?
It's quite complete and very thorough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Michael's pretty much covered everything already, but happy to be here and happy to be taking over for him on this.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Okay, we move on for the franchise fee report.
Thank you.
Yes, so we received all the first quarter cable franchise fee reports, and they're paid up to date.
Yeah, this is, since we've had some breakdowns in the past with regard to getting this information, this is what I was looking for, these pages.
Understood.
Yeah, just wait a minute, just drop my notes. Here we go. What I'm getting at is the chart that we get, that you sent, the two charts representing the different franchises. That's perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
And provides the necessary information that I was looking for.
Oh, perfect.
It's just good to see that despite the various problems that the systems have occurred over the years, that their income is still, even though I know I'm not allowed to discuss the numbers, they're still showing some growth, modest growth in both categories, the 5% and the 1%, and their own incomes. Anyway, is there are there any questions on anyone's part on the payment pages?
They're gone.
If not, we shall move on.
They're gone.
They're gone.
Oh, no, Jacqueline's still there, but
Yes. Okay. Okay. Any cable complaints?
We did receive one complaint, and the complaint's regarding an increase to a resident's account after being given a promotional discount. We actually did hear back from the cable company today, and we were advised that the reason for the increase was because of standard rates. They had gone up for all residents. And unfortunately, the resident was not, pleased with that comment, and she mentioned that she would be canceling her service.
Okay, you're saying then the comment in the report that we got was that it's on the complaint report that the representative claimed it was due to broadcast fees. But that is not true. Are you saying that was an incorrect reference?
Yes, that's what one of the representatives had told her. After we filed the complaint on her behalf, we were advised that the reason for the increase was just standard rate increases all around.
Okay.
Michael, may I share
Yes.
my experience?
Far away.
I also got notice in my last bill of several dollar increase, and it gets larger and larger and larger. So I called them, and I think it also depends who you get on the phone, because one person was and both times I had to wait, and I wasn't quite sure when I was going to act on the information I received. But one person was extraordinarily nice, spent probably 40 or so minutes with me, because she's indicated that I had an old plan. Unfortunately, the cable company doesn't tell you that they've kind of drifted away from some of these old plans. But she made the comment that I wasn't the only person. There are a number of people who have boxes and DVR service and even whole house DVR, and Spectrum is moving away from the boxes and actually encouraging people to get Roku or Apple TV and use their Spectrum cloud service. And it really saved a lot of money. So that was, and they actually facilitated my saving significant amount of money each month for similar service. But it's a little bit of trial and error and having to learn a new system with Roku or Apple TV instead of the cable box. The other thing that they did say, that periodically they have specials and they run for about a year, and the person has to really pay attention to the bill each month and call, because they usually have a different special. And so I guess what I'm saying to those who are watching, communicate with the cable company, and see if your system, if there's any kind of changes to your system, which will still allow you to get the channels and service you want, but maybe in a slightly or significantly different form. So overall, my experience was pretty positive.
Oh, good. Well, I do plan on, contacting the resident again and seeing what else we can do to help her.
Yeah, when you switch over and start getting rid of your cable TV boxes, it can save you a tremendous amount of money yearly. There is an expense to buy the Roku or especially Apple TVs, but they pay off in the end. It's a nice feeling to be able to take back 5 or 6, like we had like 6 or 7 boxes and drop them off and be rid of that part of the service charges monthly. So you just have to, buy what you buy, Roku or Apple TV or Google Stick or whatever it is. And you have to, like Commissioner Sherman said, you just have to get used to, it's a different way of watching TV. But for those people wanting to save some money, it's a terrific way to save money and balance out the broadcast fee increases and things that we'll all get hit with.
And if I can just add this one more comment. Again, if you're not comfortable with what the rep is saying, call back, because some are more willing to spend the extra time with you and explain things and try to work with you than others.
Yes, good suggestion.
Is the Roku a monthly charge also?
No, it's a one-time, and there's specials. So it's a one-time purchase.
Yeah, the Apple Roku's inexpensive compared. Like Apple TV has several, a couple of different models for regular HD or 4K, and they can range from $170, $80 to $200 for the one unit for one TV. I think Roku is, I'm gonna say $40 or $50.
I think it's like even less for some models, up to like 90, and there's sales periodically. And again, we're not talking against the cable company. They're the ones encouraging it because they probably spend a lot of money on these boxes that quickly become outdated and require service.
Mhm.
So are there any drawbacks other than having to learn a new way to watch TV? Do you have to get new remote controls and everything?
The remote controls come with both Roku and Apple. Just takes a little bit to get used to them. They are different. We kept one DVR, because there are certain things we want to record, but that's the last box we have in the house.
So do you only need to buy one box or?
Well, no, every TV would need either a Roku plugged in the back or an Apple TV. And the other part of this is that if you want to see 4K streaming, you need higher internet speeds at your house. That's the one other thing about getting these units. If you want to get away from the cable boxes, if you want super high quality 4K Netflix, Apple TV, Hulu, Paramount, whatever it is you're subscribing to, and Spectrum itself, because Spectrum puts out 4K in a lot of their channels. You need good, higher internet speeds at your house, which costs some money as well.
And then, and just last thing, Spectrum does have this Spectrum Cloud Service or Cloud Service Plus, and for $10 a month, which is a lot less expensive than all the boxes, you can record, or you can record they'll automatically record programs. It's throughout every TV you have, also through your phone or your iPad, and I think I said they will keep up to 100 hours of programming, not forever, but for so many months.
So can you have a hybrid with leave some of the boxes and get Roku for some other TVs?
Yes, that's what I had before they kept raising the prices.
So you,
I'm happy to talk to you offline.
Okay.
Just going to say, I think we need to move on and you can have the.
These are things that I think our listeners would like to hear about.
Okay.
It would be wonderful it would be wonderful if, in a positive light, if a Spectrum rep would come and, we're talking as customers, but they could talk with authority and share, again, something positive. It's not a complaint we're talking about something good. Maybe doesn't have to be the head person, but maybe somebody from their office could speak to us and answer some of, the questions that are being asked, which I think are good questions.
That's a good idea. I can definitely connect with them and see if they're available for our
Yep.
next meeting.
Okay, good idea.
Mhm.
Good suggestion, Richard. Okay, so we move on to the subcommittee reports. The first one up is the wireless subcommittee report. Carrie, I don't think we have anything new particularly, do you?
Nothing to report.
Okay. The programming subcommittee, Richard and Candace?
Well, Bella may have something, I'm not
Bella.
sure.
Yeah,
Just something very brief for this. This is the programming subcommittee. So we work with CTV, and something we've been working on is getting Mr. Gersh at the school to help out with some of our programming. And so I believe Arvin spoke with him and they talked about planning something this summer. So that's something pretty much all that we have new to report right now. I don't know if anything's taken place yet, but maybe we can get something going this summer.
Okay, great.
thank you. And the broadband subcommittee, Carrie and David?
Nothing new here. Carrie, anything?
Well, I just echo what David said. Nothing new here.
Okay. All right, next up is the director's report. Arvin?
Thank you very much, Chair Brockman, members of the commission. In the package, you've got smartphone app usage as well as Granicus and YouTube usage by the public. And as usual, most of our individual video views are with social media rather than people formally going to YouTube, for example, to see a piece of video content that we put out there. And so, yeah, you've got that. One other thing, going back to what we discussed a little bit ago, I did speak to a resident just last week who had, it wasn't so much a formal complaint that she wanted to file against a cable provider, but she was asking about senior discounts for her cable bill. And she had mentioned how the rep, you're talking about reps, told her that, oh, we don't give senior discounts. That has to come from the city. Which is nothing could be further from the truth. So as you were mentioning, Chair Brockman, it really kind of depends on the rep you get.
Yep.
Sometimes and who you speak to. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. So we can move on to
I got a suggestion for these reports, particularly I'm looking at the ones with YouTube, the Granicus used to. You start off with the oldest ones and then move forward. I think it might be more informative to do the reverse, to do the most recent at the beginning and then have the back ones that preceded it beneath it. You know what I mean? Reversing the sequencing.
So I actually put that report together myself, so I'll be sure to do that for our next meeting.
Yeah, I just think because then we see the same ones repetitively at the top. So it's very good. The content of it is fine, but it's just the order of the sequencing to go from the most recent to the oldest.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Is Ann going to do more gentle yoga, like several times a week?
That one looks like it's pretty popular.
Yes, it's interesting to watch the ones that do get an appeal and which ones don't. Very, very interesting indeed.
And I did include 2 new videos. Not sure if you guys noticed that. New rules on water use number 3 and 2.
Where?
Yes.
For YouTube.
See, this is what I mean. Now I got to go searching for where the
At the very end.
one is.
I'm being a little facetious. If only Ann could talk about the new water rules, might get more hits.
that'd be a slam dunk, wouldn't it?
Okay, now I see what you mean. Okay. All right, well, I'll catch it later. I see the new rules on the water. There you go. All right. Then there's the report. This is the report on Granicus and YouTube usage by the public. Is that some special information that you wanted to impart, or is?
That's the report we just read.
No, that's,
Sure.
that's the report. We can move on to the CTV programming update
Yep.
part of it if you like.
That's what we need. The programming report would be fine.
Okay, thank you, Chair Brockman. Commissioners, good evening. Happy first day of summer here in Northern Hemisphere. I'd like to go over our production for April through June of 2022. Some of our CTV specials: Earth Day from April, 101 Freeway Bridge for the wildlife crossing. We covered that event as well. City Park series, we're on episode number 2, Grape Arbor Park. Also, we went over to our Courtyard Pharmacy to do another PSA about boosters, that was the last thing we did in April. Also, we put together some water conservation rules. This was near the end of April to get ready for what we then did was to talk to the Lvusd, and we recorded a series of 7 different tips on how to save water. So those are all coming up as well. For our June 7th election, we did a couple of things. The sheriff candidate form we were able to get from the California League of Cities and replayed on CTV. We did a young voters night with Mayor Maurer and Councilmember Bazagian, which was very helpful. And we did some fire safety PSAs about how to harden your home and make sure you're ready just in case there's a fire ever. And lastly, we went over and created a show for the Senior Center's 6th anniversary and reopening, which was just last month. Some of our production, we're still going over to Old Town Calabasas to record some of the construction, and that's all ongoing till the end of that. School board, they did their 2nd and 4th Tuesdays. July, of course, being summer, they're off, but we're back again in August and continue from there. As I mentioned earlier, Courtyard Pharmacy helped us out with information about our 2nd booster, and that was in mid-April. Earth Day was by the creek, also in April. I want to send a very big thank you for one of our commissioners here, Candace Weber, who volunteered her home for our fire department inspector. We came over and we were able to walk around her house, and Candace, your house is really good shape, but he was able to point out all the different places that we could always improve and make sure we're ready for fire. So that was excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that. We did another episode with our Mayor's Youth Council, a Zoom meeting about mental health. And again, as I mentioned, the Young Voters Night. A Calabasas resident is doing a Ukraine donation. We went out to her backyard and her garage where she collects all the goods and money and food and all the good things that she's going to send out. So stay tuned for that little show that's coming up. Also, our native plant education PSA. I want to thank our planning commissioner, John Mueller, Calabasas resident. Of course, we went over to his backyard and he was able to show us all our drought tolerant planting. And again, that's good for water savings and for fire prevention. So appreciate that. Look for that show coming up. Water District did a flow restrictor demonstration on one of their board members' homes, which is a Calabasas resident. So hopefully we won't have to, force people to have to do that. So we'll take our steps to save water so you don't get the flow restrictor on your house. And one of the last things we did too was end of school year. We went over to the Senior Center where Public Works had their annual appreciation for their crossing guards and the bus drivers and everything like that. Some upcoming events are continued Zoom meetings and council meetings and commission meetings. Our Lvusd updates, our park series, July being Park and Rec month. So that's upcoming. Old Town is never going to be done yet. I mean, it will be done, but we're still going over to it. We're still going over there and getting all the different phases of construction till we are done. And we ribbon cut that. So that'll be the end of that show. Most likely we'll be talking to a pharmacist or a doctor about the new rules on vaccines for toddlers and younger children. So we'll probably put together something about that. And again, water constraint, water conservation, fire preparedness, and the 4th of July is upcoming as well. So if you have to, make sure you get your tickets if you want to go over to that spectacular event at the Calabasas High School. Some of our promoted events, our mayor's letter to the communities every Friday, our summer rec brochure was launched, e-waste collection, our summer park and rec events, library events, senior center events. All of these are on billboard, website, social media. It's always something good to keep promoting. On the next page of my report, we have our 7 meetings that we are showing on CTV this month of June. More to come in July. And if you have a couple minutes, I could show you a couple of the PSAs I was talking about, if that's okay with the chair.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. I'm sure I know how to do this. Let me share my sound and video. First one here is water safety. I think you could see that now.
Yep. Let's see. We're getting ready.
All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Ricky Clark, Public Affairs Associate here at Las Virgenes Municipal Water District, and I'm here to talk about the severe drought facing our state, subsequent watering requirements, and how our customers can make sure that they're doing whatever they can to save water. The LVMWD board has requested a 50% reduction in outdoor water budgets from all customers. So what does that look like for you? That essentially just means adhering to Metropolitan Water District's current restriction of 1 day per week watering, 8 minutes per station. By limiting your watering to 1 day per week, you will satisfy the necessary reduction and do your part to save water.
Okay, and then going back, I have another one here of fire prevention.
Hi, I'm Deputy Forester Trevor Moore, LA County Fire Department. Hi, I'm Deputy Forester We're going to look at a house today in Calabasas. Do a home hardening inspection. We're going to look at a house today in Calabasas. Look at home hardening to try to harden the home. This is where we're looking at houses to try to wildland fire.
Take 2.
We always want to make sure anything that is touching the structure is not ignitable. In the 0 to 5 feet to the structure, we want to make sure vegetation is not touching the eaves or the home. We need to pull these off of the house, get it away from the structure, lower the height, pull it away from the house, clean any dead material that could ignite. This does look clean and green, but inside you'll find dead material that could ignite and threaten the home in case of a wildfire. So clean all the dead material out. That way, if we do have an ember cast fire, it doesn't land on this vegetation, ignite vegetation, and then ignite the structure. So those are 2 examples there. We have vegetation touching the home. We want to get that off the house.
Okay, so those are a couple examples. We have many tips, and when we go out and record these events, we try to make little snippets that we could spread out for everyone. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Arvin. Very good. The student commissioner report. Bella.
All right, hello everyone. There's not too much to report at this time. Like I mentioned, we're going to work with Mr. Gersh this summer in his broadcasting program. Since our last meeting, some stuff that's happened. The recycling pickup is happening still and happened, and it was successful. And so we got that advertised among Calabasas students. I had the environmental science teacher talk to her students about it. And then, as Arvin mentioned, there was a mental health awareness meeting with one of the mayor's youth council students put on. And so we actually got those flyers sent out to the Calabasas parent teacher organization. And so the parents were able to know about it and attend as well as their students. And that pretty much wraps up my student commissioner report. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good, Bella.
Very nice, Bella. Thank you.
Okay, any future agenda items that anyone wishes to add to the pack? if there are any. Okay. I think if there are none, then we can move to adjournment. I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Richard second. Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Everybody have a very safe July 4th holiday, an enjoyable one. And I guess we'll see
Thank
each other
you, everyone.
Thank you. We'll see you in, next month.
next meeting, whenever it is. I don't know, July isn't, are they still taking the month off? The staff?
City Council is taking the month off, yes.
Yeah. Okay, but is the staff working? I mean, will we possibly have a meeting or not?
Quite honestly, I don't see anything major coming up on the agenda at this point. I'll let you know. There's pretty likely we won't be meeting in July.
Okay, very good. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your
Thank
attention.
you.
Wait, Michael, it's only 6:54 and we had 6:55 here.
Oh, well, then, Pete, I'll speak a little.
Long advance.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.